Hey everybody, JayC here, and welcome to another live stream. We're back on Thursday night. Um, don't have anything specific to talk about tonight. I do have a package from Big Bad Toy Store that I thought I would unbox, but I felt like I'd let you guys kind of direct where the conversation goes tonight. But let's see who's in the house. So Polar Bear Frosty Paws is in the house. Not sure if that's a friend of Salome or what. Paul Morales is in the house. What's up? Zim is in the house. Mr. Allmine. Michael is in the house. 76 is in the house. Eric is in the house. Power Turtles is in the house. 3M. Everett's in the house. Joseph. CM Brock. Julio. Good. I was a little worried. I was like, man, maybe I shouldn't do a live stream tonight. Maybe everybody's going to go see Ant-Man and the Wasp, since it's opened up in theaters this evening. But looks like we got a pretty good house here. I'm going to go see the Ant-Man movie on Saturday. So I got my tickets, which cost almost $50, man. I mean, granted, Saturday night, 2 people, IMAX theater, but $50, and like I've been watching the reviews of Ant-Man, and well, they haven't been too kind. People seem to like Kang, Jonathan Majors as Kang, but otherwise the movie seems to, based on the reviews, is a convoluted mess. What's up, Blake? Turtle Dave, what's up? Michael seeing Ant-Man on Saturday as well. Like, I feel like if I walk out of the theater on Saturday and I'm like, man, this movie if I'm either like, man, this movie was horrible, or this movie was just kind of so-so, which honestly, since Avengers Endgame, that's how I've walked out of most Marvel movies. They're not bad or horrible, but they're not like they didn't knock my socks off. Spider-Man No Way Home was, probably the best movie in Phase 4, but I have not really been that excited for Marvel movies since Avengers Endgame. Now, part of that's because, they got rid of Chris Evans as Captain America. They got rid of, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and the characters that are kind of leading the way these days are just not characters that I've ever been that personally interested in. They're great support characters, they're great, team player characters, but as the actual leads, I just have not been that excited. But I am hoping that Kang is going to be interesting, since he is going to be the main villain for Phase 5. He's our new Thanos. So I'm hoping I end up liking Kang. But if I walk out of the theater after spending $50 and I'm like, yeah, this is just so-so, I really feel like that might be the last movie I go to the theater for. I really don't go to the movie theaters that often anymore. I usually just wait for things to come out on home release these days. So, but I have been going to the Marvel movies, and but like I said, if this one I come out feeling kind of lukewarm about it, or even worse, thinking it's horrible, then moving forward, I'm probably just going to start waiting for these to come out on home release. And on the flip side, I definitely will probably go see the Flash movie just to see Michael Keaton as Batman. But with the DC stuff, it's kind of the same way. I'm like, I'll probably just, for most of the DC stuff, I'll just wait for it to come out on home release. Red says, I'm going to see Ant-Man. Hope it's not as bad as it seems. I had high hopes for Ant-Man. I really did. I was like, okay, Phase 5. I wasn't super impressed with Phase 4, but we're kicking off Phase 5 here. We've got Kang, which, I liked him in the Loki series. And I'm like, okay, so things are going to start getting good. I'm looking forward to the Thunderbolts movie. Even the new Captain America movie, though, it's going to suck if Chris Evans doesn't show up. But there's some good things coming out in this phase that seem like have potential to be good, but like right off the bat, if Ant-Man, and I'm not an Ant-Man fan, okay, I thought the first Ant-Man movie was okay, but I went to see it because I wanted to see the next piece of the puzzle leading up to Avengers Endgame. Same thing with the second Ant-Man movie, which I didn't like as much as the first Ant-Man movie, but again, I mostly went to see it just to see the next piece of the puzzle. But you know I don't know. Turtle Dave says movies I might see in the theater: Ant-Man, D&D, Transformers, Flash. D&D, Transformers, I almost definitely I'm gonna wait for home release. Nothing I've seen from those trailers makes me super excited, so I feel like those movies will be out on home release fairly quickly. The Marvel movies probably will at least take a month or so to get out on home release, but a lot of these movies end up being on home release like 2 or 3 weeks after it's out in theaters. Michael, Shazam, I don't honestly, no. I feel like Shazam is a waste. I really don't think Shazam. I Same thing with the Flash movie. I mean, I feel like all these movies that are already coming out before James Gunn took over are kind of a waste, because I feel like it's all going to be thrown to the side for the new DC universe that James Gunn is creating. So, I know they're trying to tell us Shazam will still have a role, but I think that's just because they want us to go see the movie. But I feel like most of anything Snyder related is going to essentially get wiped out. So Shazam likely will not go see in the theater. Yeah, three. I mean, 100% for me. I mean, and I'm a Flash fan. I like the Flash. He's one of my favorite DC characters. But I'm not going to see the movie for Flash. I'm going to see it for Michael Keaton Batman, and that's pretty much it. And to me, I mean, I won't sit here and say Michael Keaton is the best Batman that we've ever seen on the big screen. But for me, I was like 13 years old when the original 89 Batman movie came out, and it revolutionized DC Comics for me. Up until that, and Batman, I mean, up until that point, my I viewed Batman as Adam West 66 Batman. And don't get me wrong, I like that show, and it's a fun show to watch, but it's very campy, it's silly. And that was Batman to me up until the Michael Keaton Batman. And he didn't do that alone. I mean, it was a collective effort. Jack Nicholson played a large part of that movie, and everything. But to me, Michael Keaton is really he's like, to me, he's the Christopher Reeve of Superman. I mean, that's still to this day is the Superman I primarily think of when I think of Superman. And Michael Keaton is really kind of the Batman. I mean, the animated series Batman to me is probably your best Batman as far as like anything outside of the comics. But even the animated series, I feel like was heavily influenced. Aspects of the Batman animated series was heavily influenced by the Michael Keaton Batman movie. So I don't think Ezra's going to get much praise. And honestly, I'm not sure how well this movie is going to do. I think it will do fairly well just because of Michael Keaton Batman, and that's certainly why I think most people are going to see it. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are going to end up not liking that movie for whatever reason, whether it's because Michael Keaton didn't live up to what they remembered from Batman in '89, and I got to be honest, you know Michael Keaton's a hell of a lot older than he was when he did the movie back in '89. So is he really going to be that convincing of a Batman now? I don't know. I mean, Michael Keaton's still a great actor, but he is very old. So I don't know. But I feel like there's still going to be a lot of people. You're going to have the Snyderverse people that are upset that pretty much all the Snyder stuff is getting wiped out. This will probably be the last time we ever see Ben Affleck as Batman. I really wouldn't be surprised if this is the last time we see Ezra as Flash. So Snyder people are going to be pissed, and they're going to be like, see, this was good, and Snyderverse stuff should continue, and Henry Cavill should have been in this movie, and things like that. And then, you know, so I feel like this movie's is once people start to go see it, people will be all hyped about Michael Keaton Batman, but then once people start to go see it, I feel like you're going to start seeing a lot of people coming out and saying, "Oh man, this movie sucked," or "Man, this movie," well, I don't know, but so I don't know how big of a box office take this movie is going to end up being, but I really would be surprised if we see Ezra as the Flash after this movie. I know Harrison. I mean, I'm excited for Indiana Jones, but at the same time, seeing Harrison Ford, 80-year old, doing Indiana stuff is just, I don't know, it loses something. And for that, I watched the first episode of Star Trek Picard season 3 today, and which is going to reunite the Next Generation crew, and overall I did not really like season 1 and 2, but I thought this first episode was decent. It's still way too early to tell whether the season will be good, but one thing when I was watching this episode, I was like, man, these guys have gotten old. And it's like, for me, the Next Gen crew was supposed to be the young guys. The original series crew were the ones getting up there in the age, and it was the Next Generation guys who were the young guys. And so watching this first episode of season 3, it really starts to dawn on you, and it makes you feel, well, for me, I don't know about you guys, but it makes me feel old when I start seeing these guys and how old they've gotten and such on the big screen. Power Turtle, no, at least not that I've heard of. I really don't think if we see anything for real Ghostbusters, I really probably 2024. I think that's when the next Ghostbuster movie is due out. I wouldn't really expect much on the Ghostbuster front until we get closer to that movie release. Yeah, Patrick Stewart is 82. Jonathan Frakes, who plays William Riker, is 70 now. Both actors are now older than William Shatner was when he did Star Trek Generations, which was the last time he appeared on screen as Captain Kirk. So William Shatner was in his early 60s when he did Star Trek Generations, and both Patrick Stewart and Jonathan Frakes are now older than Shatner was when he last appeared in Star Trek. Everett. We're not getting a 6-inch Michael Keaton Batman. We will get a 7-inch one from McFarlane for the new Flash movie, but not 6-inch. Nobody's doing 6-inch DC figures right now. Well, I won't say that one. We might get something like Tomasi Nations might do like an SH. In fact, I would almost say they will do something like a SH Figure Arts or a Mafex figure. So, those would be closer to the 6-inch range. But as far as like regular action figure lines, 7-inch is what it's going to be. Jerry, well, you're 10 years younger than me. I mean, I was in grade school too, but I was in high school when the Michael Keaton Batman movie came out. Now, I have not really seen very much in the way of positive reviews for Quantumania. I've seen people say positive things about Kang, but the movie in general, I have yet to see an actual good review. Now, that's from like the mainstream entertainment sites. I haven't seen, being the movie just opened this evening, I haven't seen too many people's like, you know, individual people that have gone and seen it and seen their opinions yet. But as far as the general reviews go, I've not seen much in the way of anything good. Mr. Cheeseburger, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, and Robert Pattinson all sucked as Batman. I like Val Kilmer, actually. Julio, how about that classified Falcon head sculpt? I don't know if you saw the updated images today. It's still not my favorite classified head sculpt, but it looks a lot better than those images we saw yesterday. In fact, we can for those who haven't seen it. So I don't know. I don't think it looks as bad in these new updated images. I'm still not liking his lips that much, but it went from looking in the images we saw yesterday where it looked like he had lipstick on and it just looked really bad. You know, it went from bad to just looking okay. So I was never a huge Falcon fan anyway. So yeah, I heard about Raquel Welch passing away. Yeah, it's like every time you turn around, somebody, an old actor is passing away. Like I started like I went and watched the new Night Court series on NBC, the updated one. And I thought it was okay, but I didn't think it was great. But it motivated me to go back and watch episodes from the original Night Court. And first of all, the original Night Court is so much more funny than the modern Night Court. But you know, again, when you watch that show, it's like three of the most of the actors from that show are no longer living. It's like there's like two or three actors from the show that are still around, and everyone else has passed away. Everett, what's the difference between the Ben Affleck bat suit and the Michael Keaton bat suit? Ben Affleck could turn his head. Michael Keaton couldn't. Truthfully, Michael Keaton's bat suit was mostly all rubber, and the headpiece was all like one thing, so he really couldn't turn his head without turning his whole body. Whereas the Ben Affleck bat suit is, more of a traditional superhero outfit, modern day superhero outfit. They can fix Falcon all day, but there's no way a hot rod Rodimus Prime of G.I. Joe will be in my collection. Turtle Days. The new night. It is like John Larroquette, who's the only original actor from Night Court. To me, he's the only one that's even remotely funny in the new Night Court. But even his character, they've tamed down drastically from how he was in the 80s. So, and it just doesn't have the chemistry, and it's totally like, or even the formula. Like the original Night Court always revolved around like the cases and the people they brought in to be tried. Whereas on this show, on the new show, like the trials are barely like almost an afterthought on the show, and the bailiff on the new show is really annoying to me. She tries way too hard to be like the center of all attention, and I don't know, it doesn't work for me as much. Michael, I don't know. I haven't checked to see what's going up on the 22nd, so it'll be a surprise for us all. Yes. Salome is over here scratching her head against the edge of the laptop here, so Everett. Ben Affleck bat suit more looks more appealing. Well, not in my opinion. I've always found the Michael Keaton bat suit to look cooler than really any of the other bat suits. However, practicality wise, the Ben Affleck suit is much better because he can actually move in it and turn his head and things. So, but I've always thought the Michael Keaton bat suit looked better. 3M. Brent Spiner was on a bunch of episodes of Night Court. That's really where he got his start before uh, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Um, in fact, he was on, I think, I forget what season of Night Court it was, and again, I only know this because I've been going back and binge watching the old episodes. But he he was on an episode of Night Court the same year, like in the beginning of the year, like the Night Court season ended, and then later that year in September, Star Trek: The Next Generation started. So he like literally filmed an episode of Night Court right before he went over to Star Trek and started doing Star Trek. But I think he was in like 3 or 4 different episodes of Night Court. Blake, we'll target it. Has Ant-Man sold out? I haven't looked here today. Last time I looked, the only figure that had sold out was the track shoot suit mafia guy. But I would imagine all those, if any of them that are sold out, will end up getting restocked at some point. Yeah, I, out of all the comparing the I like Ben Affleck as Batman, but as far as his outfit, his suit, it's probably my least favorite movie outfit. I prefer the Kristen Bell bat suit over the Ben Affleck one. What's up, Wolfpack? Yeah, I remember Jonathan Frakes doing some voices in Gargoyles. And Brent Spiner's done a lot of work over the years. He pops up in a lot of different things. Sam Brock says he was into Marky Post. Yeah, I remember the first show I remember her in was The Fall Guy with Lee Majors. Um, but yeah, then she came into Night Court like season 3 or season 4. But she's one of the actors that's no longer alive. She passed away a couple years ago. I think she had cancer or something. But she's both her and Henry Anderson, the judge are no longer living from that show. Why do people think $28 is expensive for an action figure? Because they're used to paying only $20 for an action figure when it comes to things like Marvel Legends, and so they're mad that they now have to pay 28. Though I mean the regular price of a Marvel Legend is 25. Exclusives are now more expensive because they're made in more limited numbers than their deluxe figures, but the question I have is, I mean, if you only buy Marvel Legends and you were used to $20 and now you're having to pay 28 or 30, I can understand that being a bit of a sticker shock. But I don't get the people who are perfectly fine paying $55, $65 for a Super 7 figure, or paying somewhere in that neighborhood for some random generic Kickstarter figure, but then want to complain about, Marvel Legends being 25 or $30. Those are the people I don't get. If you're not spending tons of money on these other action figure lines, and you only bought these $20 figures and you were buying them because they were $20, the price jump in the last couple of years, I can understand, having an effect on you and you not being happy about it. I mean, again, nobody likes paying higher prices, but it's the people that seem to have no problem spending, like I said, $55 for a Super 7 figure, or even like going to eBay and spending, $40 to have the first, to be the first person to have a Marvel Legend figure. If those people are sitting around bitching about the price increases, I'm like, yeah, I don't really feel for you, dude. And the other thing I also, again, nobody likes high prices, and I understand that, and understand why people aren't happy about the prices. But when somebody just like picks out Hasbro and then wants to accuse them of like price gouging their fans, when they're completely oblivious to all these other companies, even McFarlane Toys, who, to his credit, he kept the prices down a longer than other companies did. But the prices on his figures have now gone up to $25 as well. Those Batman figures that went up for pre-order today, those are $25 each. You still don't get as many accessories usually with a McFarlane figure than you do with like a Marvel Legends or what have you. So it's not like it's just one company that's price gouging you. Prices are just going up all across the board. So if it is a price gouging thing, they're all doing it, but yet people will just fixate themselves on one company, and usually that company is Hasbro. And I mean, I guess that makes sense because I think more people probably collect Hasbro figures than any other company. But 9 times out of 10, when you see people bitching online, they're bitching about Hasbro, and they're bitching about things that are happening all across the board, all across the industry. And to me, it just doesn't make sense. Even the layoffs. I feel sorry for people who got laid off at Hasbro. I really do. But at the same time, Hasbro's not the only company out there laying people off right now. It's happening across the board. And so, these people that come fixated on because Hasbro lays people off, to me is just, again, ridiculous. And yes, I'll be the first to tell you, Hasbro's not your friend. They're not here. Some people, like, I hear people like, Hasbro's not here for you. They're here to make $1. Wow. News at 11. Company wants to make money. I mean, it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's marketing. Maybe when these guys go out on these podcasts and YouTube channels and stuff, and they sit there and do live streams with their YouTube buddies, maybe you guys think, oh, this is my friend, he's talking to me. I don't know. To me, they're employers, or they're employees for a company. They're making a product that hopefully we will want to buy, and that's it. They're not my friend. They're not my buddy. That doesn't mean you should treat them like shit. That doesn't mean you should be out there calling them names and berating them on social media either. But they're not your friend. They're just employees doing a job, and their job is to make products that you will hopefully buy. And if you're seeing anything more in that relationship, I feel like you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mythic Legions are not super cheap figures. They're certainly not $20 figures. I don't collect Mythic Legions, so I haven't looked at their prices lately, but those figures are already, they're not Super 7 prices, but a big difference between Mythic Legions and, like, say, Super 7 is most of Super 7 stuff is licensed product. You know, Super 7 has to pay a lot of money to make Simpsons or make Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or make Thundercats. Mythic Legions is the creation of the Four Horsemen, so they don't pay anybody, to be able to make those figures other than the factories to actually produce them. But you get what I'm saying. There's no licensing fees or anything like that. But I don't think Mythic Legion figures are, as cheap as most Hasbro figures. Now, you could argue with something like the Four Horsemen that they give you a lot of accessories, and the sculpting details in paint applications are probably a bit better. But again, that's an independent line where there's no licensing fees or anything like that involved. NK Saw, I'm excited for McFarlane's Invisible Jet and feel like the Superpowers Batmobile will be a scalper's paradise. I don't think those vehicles will be terribly. I've not seen any of those DC superpower stuff hard to get. I mean, the fact that I've seen them multiple times in my own local Walmart, and my local Walmart sucks. So I usually, if I can find it in my Walmart, I feel like anyone, if they really want it, can find it in their Walmart. Um, so long term, possibly, as far as, will the price go up on the once they're off the market? Will the prices, go up? Yeah, certainly. But I think if you want those, and you want to get them when they come out, I don't think you'll have too hard a problem to get them. And when it comes, like, I had an argument with somebody on Facebook, and I don't recommend you getting into arguments with people on social media. It's really kind of a waste of time. But I got it. I don't want to even say an argument. I got in a discussion with this guy on the TNI Facebook page about those D&D figures, where I keep seeing people say, "Oh, well, they had so many quality control issues, that's why I didn't buy them." So I don't think that those figures have that many quality control issues. They have stiff joints, and they're based on kids with very thin arms and legs, which means the joints are very thin. And so if you try and move those figures without heating up the joints, it's very likely you could snap them off. In a perfect world, should you have to heat your figures up with a hair dryer? Probably not. But it's by far not a reason not to buy the figures. Now, I will 100% agree on those dungeon. I'm talking about the animated series ones. I will 100% agree that the articulation, especially with the arms, it would have been nice if they had given us double hinged elbows on those figures, so that you could actually get the figure so he's holding his bow and you can get him to actually fire it correctly and stuff. 100%, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit better articulation, but still, for the most part, those are pretty nice figures. And for so long, I heard so many of you guys, every time D&D would come up, somebody be like, "Is somebody going to give us animated series figures?" And Hasbro's done it. They went and they gave us. I don't think those figures are huge sellers. I think they're only appealing to a very small demographic of collectors. It's based on a very obscure cartoon that a lot of people barely even remember. And Hasbro went and they did those figures for the collectors. And yet all I see is people trying to bash them because they had stiff joints. Um, and I think it's just ridiculous. I'm not saying, if you don't like them or whatever, for whatever reason, don't buy them. But these people that just go out of their way to bash them. Hey, somebody, this guy I had the discussion with, he was like, "Well, Pixel Dan was even frustrated with it." I saw Pixel Dan's post about it. He broke his figure. He probably didn't heat it up. And then he had an issue with, they didn't immediately replace it or something. And so he was on Twitter complaining about it. But this is my thing about Pixel Dan. At the Around that exact same time, when somebody asked Pixel Dan about the Mondo figures, which are much more expensive figures, I'm talking about the 12-inch Masters of the Universe figures, which had some very serious quality control issues, like the He-Man figure that just, for many people, it just broke in half when they took it out of the packaging, or the She-Ra figure that had the busted head sculpt. I saw Pixel Dan just write that off as, "Oh, well, I didn't have any problem with mine, so I don't think it's a big deal, but I'll be sure to let them know so that they're aware of the problem." Now, coincidentally, Super Set or Mondo sends Pixel Dan those 12-inch figures for free. So I'm not saying that, he's lying, but I'm saying, he underplayed the quality control issues of those Mondo figures, which are much more expensive. If you're going to spend that much money on a figure like that, I definitely would expect a lot better quality. Now, to Mondo's credit, they did take steps to fix those issues. They sent out replacement figures. They literally, for people that had the broken He-Man figure, they sent out a whole new He-Man body. They sent new She-Ra head sculpts to everybody who even, I mean, I didn't have a problem with my She-Ra head, and they sent me a new She-Ra head. So I give Mondo credit for at least taking steps to fix those quality control issues. But at the same time, when I see somebody complaining about a $20 figure because they had an issue with it, but they're totally glancing over this really super expensive figure that had an issue, it's just like, yeah, I don't put a lot of stock in that. I'm sorry, I just don't. So, I think I think the figures, those D&D figures, you know, like I said, they're not perfect. Not defending Hasbro as a perfect company in any way, but I feel like Hasbro's probably if Super 7, you know, the only other company that I could see maybe doing those animated series D&D figures would be like Super 7. And if Super 7 did them, they'd be $55, $65 figures, guaranteed. Like Vengar would be like $65 and the others would be $55 each. Even the Kid would be like $55, just like Snarf. So, you know, I feel like the collectors who've been asking for these figures since forever, you know, they should be pretty happy that, you know, for what they're getting. But yeah, when you go online, when you go on social media, all you see are people bitching and complaining and bashing Hasbro for it. So I don't know. It just, I feel like the fandom has gotten a bit toxic, especially when it comes to Hasbro, to the point where they're just bitching about anything they possibly can find to bitch about. I get that people aren't happy with prices. I get, you know, inflation sucks. I get all that. But I feel like people are just, you know, they're being, you know, they have their blinders on and they're like, I hate Hasbro, I hate Hasbro. And if somebody on YouTube starts bashing Hasbro, I'm going to watch their video and I'm going to say, oh yeah, that's totally 100% right, because I hate Hasbro and they're just ripping us off and all this. And it's like, oh my God, give me a break. I saw somebody doing a G.I. Joe video about classifieds, and they basically took what was going on with Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast, which is a totally different thing, and they started applying that to G.I. Joe. And it's like, no, those two things don't go together. But it didn't stop them from doing it. And then I read through the comments on the video, and like everybody that was commenting was like, yeah, Hasbro sucks. Oh yeah, man, I 100%. Thank you for calling Hasbro out on, you're the defender of the community and you're standing up for us. And it's like, oh my God, give me a freaking break. I'm sorry, I'm ranting, but I've just, these things I've been watching on social, play out on social media, and it's really starting to grate on my nerves. I get why, you know, I get people who, I get why it's annoying to, there are people out there on social media who, no matter what, Hasbro's the greatest thing in the world, blah, 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 or whatever toy company, you know, it is that they're talking about. It's the greatest thing in the world. You know, McFarlane Toys, there are guys that will sit there and tell you McFarlane Toys is the best thing ever. And every figure that McFarlane makes is just fantastic. And they're so much better than Marvel Legends and blah, blah, blah. And I like a lot of McFarlane's products, and I like DC Multiverse, but they have a lot of problems and they are by far not perfect. But yet, you know, they'll sit there and sing the praises of this company while they'll sit there and bash that company. And it's just that kind of thing that really pisses me off. Richard, as far as Hasbro layoffs go and G.I. Joe Classified, any G.I. Joe Classified figure that you're seeing right now, Falcon, I saw somebody make this comment on social media. Oh, well, the Falcon figure looks horrible probably because of Hasbro's layoffs. If you even utter those words, you have no idea how things work in the toy industry, because that Falcon figure was made long before Roy or anybody at Hasbro was laid off. So if anything, you might say, well, this is why the guy was laid off, because he allowed this Falcon figure to go forward, because, and look how awful it is. I mean, I'm not saying that's the case, but if you were actually going to apply real logic, it would be more logical to say, well, this Falcon figure really sucks. Maybe that's why the guy got laid off. But saying the Falcon figure sucks because the guy got laid off, he got laid off like 2 weeks ago, and that Falcon figure was in production, you know, long before that. They just don't go together. So, and Hasbro still has plenty. I mean, I think Hasbro is moving more, and this is definitely a cost-cutting measure, I would imagine, but they're going more to freelance sculptors. But there are plenty of talented freelance sculptors out there that have been working on G.I. Joe Classified. So, again, it sucks when somebody gets laid off 100%. Nobody likes to see somebody lose their job. But at the same time, I don't think the GI Joe classified line is going to disintegrate into nothingness because somebody got laid off at the company. I don't think that's going to happen. This isn't the first time Hasbro's laid people off. It's not going to be the last time Hasbro lays people off. And honestly, I got to be honest with you. If you go to work for a company like a Hasbro, a corporation like Hasbro, I mean, it's unfortunate, but in today's world, there's not a lot of job security out there for a lot of these things. Artists, designers, sculptors, all that kind of stuff. There's just not a huge amount of job security. So if you go take a job at Hasbro and you think you're going to have long-term job stability or security, I think you're being a bit naive. If you take a job at Hasbro, you should be taking it with the idea, I'm going to get as much experience as I can from this job. I'm going to learn from it and try and make a name for myself as much as possible. And if that day comes where I get the pink slip, then I can either go do my own thing, and somebody like Bobby Vila with the Valorverse, that's a perfect example of that. He worked at Hasbro, he got laid off, he now has his own company, and he's making his own figures. Or you go work for another company, and you get a good job at another company. But like I said, layoffs happen, they always happen. They're part of today's day and age, especially when you're talking about corporations. And I just don't like saying GI Joe classified is ending or is going to go down the tubes because one guy got laid off. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't really jive very well. Roomba, I hadn't heard of that one, but I will tell you, Google has laid people off here in the last 2 months. Amazon has laid off people in the last 2 months. Microsoft has laid off people in the last 2 months. And those are just the ones coming to the top of my head. I think Funko laid off a bunch of people here fairly recently. So, we are in a recession. We've been in a recession for a little while. It's not like, it hasn't been like this huge, horrible, we're not in a depression, but we've been in a recession. And then with things like the high inflation and the shipping shortages, that's the other thing. People are like, oh, well, Masters of the Universe is on discount, it must be coming to an end. No, that's not why Masters of the Universe is on discount. A lot of stuff is being discounted by the big box stores because they got this huge influx at the end of the year, this huge influx of inventory that had been delayed. They pretty much missed the holiday season, and I'm talking about with action figures and stuff. Toy companies, their biggest, toy companies are made and they make and break on the holiday shopping season. So those months leading up to Christmas, November, maybe late October, November, and December, those are the biggest months of the year for toy companies and when they make their sales. And so all that product, came in late. And so now it's just sitting on shelves, and these big box retailers that, they're willing to take some loss, they're just clearancing it out just to get it off of their shelves. So that's all a result of COVID and the shipping delays that had been affecting everybody for the last couple of years. Retailers like Target way over ordered a lot of stuff. That's why there was this big boom in like 2021, because the retailers were like buying all this stuff. So you saw all the toy companies have these huge successful, quarterly reports and stuff, because all these retailers were buying a lot of inventory with the idea that they were trying to stock up on stuff because of the shipping delays. And then, of course, things didn't move like they were supposed to, and these stores got just stuck with a lot of inventory. I went into my Walmart the other week. My Walmart usually has barren shelves, but I went into my Walmart and the toy shelves I'm talking about, were packed. I'd never seen my Walmart this well stocked. But this is the thing. Everything there was stuff that I already had stuff that I had gotten from places like Big Bad Toy Store or even Amazon or Entertainment Earth. I had bought the stuff online. So by the time these retailers got it, most of us collectors probably already had the figures. And again, they missed, most of that stuff came in too late to be sold during the holidays. And so now the stores are stuck with all this inventory, and they're now just trying to clearance it out to get rid of it. but it's not necessarily, I mean, it's not a good thing, but it's not a sign that, oh, nobody's interested in something like Masters of the Universe. You know, I saw the Hordak and She-Ra, the Masterverse Hordak and She-Ra at Target for $10, and I was like, damn, why did I pay full price for this? But the fact is I didn't buy the Hordak and She-Ra even at $10 because I had gotten Hordak and She-Ra months ago from Big Bad Toy Store. So that's what's happening here. It's a lot of self-correcting from essentially the last 2 years of COVID, the pandemic, and all the shipping delays. So I think things will even out, you know, as the year goes along. I think things will start to, you know, bounce back and such, but we're definitely going through a bit of a tough time here. As companies and retailers and stuff try and dig themselves out of everything that's happened the last couple of years. Thousand Wolves. Walmart should only sell troop builders. I don't know if that's sarcastic or. Yeah, we're not in a Great Depression like the 30s, and I don't think we're going that way. Or I don't even think it'll be as bad as, like, you know, the housing bubble bust in the early 2000s and stuff. So I think unless and this is just based on my opinion of what I've been observing, but unless, like, the government does something stupid, like let us default on our debts, you know, by failing to raise the debt ceiling in a couple of months, you know, unless something like that happens, I don't think we're going to be in like a huge, terrible recession. I think it'll be a minor one, but we are in fact in a recession right now, and you know, so things are going to get tight all around. Everybody is kind of tightening their belts, and they're, you know, kind of preparing for the slowdown period to weather this economical storm is basically what you're seeing. Wait till World War III. Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. HoloNet. Well, I mean, like I said, Target, you could probably go into Target and a good chance you'll see a lot of those Masters of the Universe Deluxe figures being clearanced out for $10. I mean, that's crazy. $10 for those figures. I mean, you know, but like I said, unfortunately, I had already bought Hordak and She-Ra and all those other Masterverse figures months ago. So I didn't need, even at $10, I didn't need them again. And, you know, it'd be great if I could predict what's going to go on clearance. You know, if I'd known those figures were going to go on clearance for $10, I might have waited. Of course, the downside to waiting for things to go on clearance is that if everyone did that, then the line would not be, you know, healthy, and companies would quit making the stuff. So it's kind of a catch 22. Jared, those MCU Disney Plus, that Disney Plus wave with Moon Knight, I've actually seen that pretty readily available at Target, including Moon Knight. It's good to see her going off on the haters. I think all the haters overplayed the drama. Robo from First Boog, from the ACBA, and others are all calling out. This is the thing that annoys me most about the haters. And I'm not even going to say haters, but the people that way over dramatize this stuff. When there is something to legitimately complain about, you if you complain about everything and with no basis of fact behind it, you're just complaining for the sake of complaining, or you're complaining without, you know, having any knowledge of the situation. You are making your voice less relevant for when there is something to legitimately complain about. Nobody's going to pay attention to you because they've tuned you out, because they've gotten so tired of you just complaining about everything. It's like the boy who cried wolf. That's really the biggest downside. I mean, it takes away, like, you can't go into a Facebook group or a comment section on social media without hearing all these people, you know, trying to bash the toy companies, and that definitely can take some of the fun out of the hobby. But really the biggest thing to me is when you do it all the time, when that's all you do and you complain about every single thing, you are essentially become that, you know, like I said, the boy who cried wolf. And when there's something legitimate that really should be complained about, nobody's going to listen to you because you've wasted, you know, you've basically tried everyone's patience. And what there's one guy I see on Facebook that he likes to trash uh, the toy companies, Hasbro in particular. He likes to trash what he calls influencers or shills. He'll tell you not to buy Hasbro products, but then the very next minute he's sitting there posting on his social media feeds these affiliate links to buy Hasbro products. So he's going to tell you not to buy a Hasbro product, but then he's going to post an affiliate link so he can make some money. An affiliate link, if you don't know, is, you know, a lot of places these days you can sign up for their affiliate programs, Walmart, Target, Entertainment Earth, those things. And if you've got enough followers on your social media, then, you know, you can make some money. You get a certain percentage of anytime, like if you're affiliate of Amazon, then and you post an affiliate link, somebody clicks on that link and they buy a figure from Amazon, you get it's a small percentage, but you get a couple of dollars from that sale. And you see a lot of people more and more on social media, you know, passing around these affiliate links. And I mean, I have no problem with that. If you can make money from your social media, that's fine. But when you're sitting there bashing these companies, but then posting these affiliate links and telling people, "Hey, you can go buy this," from, you know, that to me just comes off as really hypocritical. Um, I don't know. I find that really really odd. I don't have well, none of my former classmates collect action figures. Let me put it that. Sam Brock says, I hardly use those for anybody. Well, sometimes you don't even realize it. And then somebody will pick up the link and they'll just pass it around and they don't even know it's an affiliate link. And I mean, again, I don't have a problem with anybody who, you know, is trying to make money on social media, especially if they're dedicating all their time and energy to cover something. Um, but I just feel like if you're going to bash a company and tell people not to buy the product, but then you're going to turn around and you're going to post links, affiliate links to said company's products, I mean, that's just doesn't make much sense to me. Yeah, uh, it the joints are definitely tight on those D&D figures, no doubt about it. I had to heat them up on my figures, and I could tell that very thin plastic with those joints because they're, you know, a kid's arm is very thin and tiny, so the joint on those elbow joints and those knee joints are very thin. So if you try and move them without heating them up when they're really stiff, very good chance you're going to snap them off, no doubt about it. But if you heat them up and you loosen up the joints, then you're not going to have a problem. And I mean, you know, NECA figures are far worse for that kind of thing. If you don't heat up a NECA figure before you start posing it, you're just asking for it to break, and it almost definitely will break. And you know, Hasbro's not the only company that has that issue sometimes with stiff joints and such. But yes, we are getting I mean, it's been listed with the overseas retailers. I don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but yes, we are getting a Superman statue as well. 3M says, as far as luxury items are concerned, most of my money goes towards action figures. Oh yeah, Tiglu definitely. To me, the best trailer was. I mean, we only had what we had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which nothing I saw I hated, but it didn't like super excite me either. Um, though it looked like Star Lord maybe ends up getting killed, but the fact that they showed him being carried out makes me think that he actually isn't going to be killed. But I don't know. Let's see. The Flash trailer. We got an Indiana Jones TV spot, so not a full trailer, but we did get another look at Indiana Jones. But yeah, definitely, definitely Flash to me. But again, not because of Flash, but because of Michael Keaton. Though I think a lot of people are actually excited about Ben Affleck. I saw a lot of people excited for the blue and gray Ben Affleck outfit that we saw briefly in the trailer. I don't know how much of a role he's going to play in the movie. I feel like it's not going to be that big of a role, but I saw a lot of people excited for that. Zod, though, to me, having Zod without Henry Cavill in there is makes me sad. I guess put it that way. It's just like, yeah, I definitely was not happy about the news of Henry Cavill not being returning as Superman. I definitely feel like he was. Man of Steel had its shares of problems, but Henry Cavill, I think, is probably going to be your, is a very good actor for Superman. He needs a better storyline than what we got in Man of Steel, but I felt like they should have kept Henry Cavill on as Superman. So not seeing him, him not being in the movie, the Flash movie, definitely is a disappointment. And seeing Zod in there and not Henry Cavill is definitely makes me less excited for whatever role Zod is going to play in the movie. Power Turtles, blue and gray. Yeah, if you like watch the trailer slowly, he's like on a train or something, and he's got his. It's basic. I think it's the same outfit as he had before, but now it's blue and gray. So I guess a tribute to the blue and gray outfit. I want to say in that scene where they show all the Batman standing together, and I have no idea what's up with that, but I feel like there. I think there was like a Michael Keaton bat suit that was blue and gray as well. What's up, John? Tiglu says, "Yeah, two Batmans in one movie should just change the name." Well, that makes sense, but I still would have liked to have seen Cavill in the movie. I don't think he really gave up The Witcher for Superman. I think he wanted out of The Witcher. From what I understand, he wasn't really happy with the direction that the showrunners were taking the character, so he wanted out. But I mean, I'm not worried about Cavill as an actor. I have no doubt he will find other gigs. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't end up in the MCU at some point. But I just feel like he was a really good modern day Superman. Um, and he really wasn't given the opportunity to really shine as well as I think he could have. All right, well, before I forget, I've got a I got a new package from Big Bad Toy Store, so I thought I'd open it up here. Sorry, if you hear this little like popping noise, one of the lights up in my lighting, I don't know, the bulb's going bad or something, so it keeps crackling. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's kind of annoying on my end. Unfortunately, if I turn the light off, then it'll be too dark in here. All right, so this is a box of random stuff, but I finally I held off on these, but I got the others. So I got the rest of the Defenders of Earth from NECA. I got both of these guys. This one too. I wasn't originally going to get these, but after seeing images and stuff online, I decided to get the NECA D&D figures. So I went on and got both of them. I don't know how far I don't know if NECA's going to do, how many more figures NECA's going to do in this line, but I decided to go on and get those. And then my newest Transformers masterpiece, the Trailbreaker figure. Yeah, except for Trailbreaker, all of these were like kind of just last minute purchases. I was getting Trailbreaker, and I was like, well, you know what? I might as well fill up my pile of loot, make the shipping worth it. And I was like, I'd been thinking about getting these figures, the Defender. I've got the first three that came out, the Phantom, the Ming, and the Flash Gordon. So I was like, you know what? I'll go on and finish out these guys. And then same thing with the D&D figures. Originally, I was not going to get these because I'm not really that huge into Dungeons and Dragons. But after seeing so many images, especially of this one, the War Duke. But I was like, if I'm going to get War Duke, then I might as well get Grimswald as well. So, but this was really my initial purchase, the masterpiece. And I think the Jetfire is going to be coming in soon, so. Always with the box in the box. I always felt like Trailbreaker never got, like, he always seemed to get the shaft. Like I can only remember like one or two episodes where he actually said anything. Yeah, Grimsword, what did I say? You know me, I'm terrible with names. Oh, he's in his car mode, of course. Not sure why they made him like grayish black as opposed to totally black, but he doesn't have. He only has part like a small stripe there. I remember on the original toy, the stripe went all the way down, if I remember correctly. For some reason, I always used to think Trailbreaker was a not a Ford Explorer, but I forget. But I didn't realize it was a Toyota, unless they changed it for some reason. But I'm not going to try and transform him here because it would take me all night. Grimsword. That's maybe what I said. Grimsword or Grimsword. I don't know which sounds better. I guess Grimsword sounds more menacing. GMC Trailblazer. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I don't know. I feel like maybe they changed. Like I don't think he was. I definitely don't think he was a Toyota originally. I mean, he's a Toyota now because it says Toyota on the back, but I don't know. That is true. Toyota is Japanese, so that would make sense. But I want like a Ford Wrangler or something like that is what I was thinking. All right, well, I think we kind of covered everything tonight. I've only bought a couple of knockoffs. I'm not really into the knockoffs, but I did get the reflect. I don't even remember which company it was from, but I got reflector because I figured we were never going to get an official reflector, and I wanted all the original Decepticons. So I got a knockoff deflector, and I've got a knockoff Galvatron because again I wasn't sure we were ever going to get an official one. I think those are the only two knockoffs I've gotten though. I mean, I could definitely. I mean, there's some pretty nice looking knockoffs out there, so I could definitely go down that rabbit hole. But I try and stay away from knockoffs and wait and hope that we're gonna get official ones. Jerry says he got Sunstreaker, can't transform back to Karma. I mean, honest, I will transform them once, but I usually transform them into their robot modes, and then I put them on the shelf in their robot modes, and I don't try and transform them back. I mean, today's Transformers look a lot better than the original ones did, but I certainly miss the simplicity of how easy it was to transform the original, G1 Transformers. And if you hear what sounds like elephants running upstairs, that's the dog running around. Yeah, Mirage. Like I wonder if we'll ever get an official Mirage. Even Jazz, I wonder if we'll get like an official Jazz. Um, Gears, I feel like Gears will never get made. Even Cliff Jumper. I mean, we haven't gotten an official MP Cliff Jumper yet, which is odd to me, especially since we got Bumblebee. Lord Vengar. By shows, do you mean do I plan on going to conventions? Um, Nothing. I don't have any specific plans. I won't say I won't, but But at this point, like I probably will not be going to San Diego this year. But Corn Viper, the MP Jetfire, yeah. But I got to be honest, the Hasbro that Jetfire Hasbro did for their regular line, a year or so ago, that is a that figure is going to be hard to beat even for an MP. Um, that's a pretty nice Jetfire. Frank Fan Toys has done a wonderful job filling in holes that Takara won't do. Like there's been more than one time where I seriously considered getting the rest of the like a third party Dinobots because I feel like we got Grimlock, but I feel like we're never going to get the rest of the Dinobots. So definitely there have been a few times where I've been tempted to grab up some third party Dinobots, but I haven't done it yet. Spaceman Legacy Brawn. I got the last Brawn they did, which is actually a pretty good figure. I was surprised they're doing a Beachcomber again. And I missed out on the Walmart exclusive Cosmos because like that thing was so freaking rare, and I wasn't gonna pay secondary market prices for it. But I wouldn't have mind picking up that Cosmos figure they did. Everything about San Diego is a pain in the ass. I mean, it's a good convention if you've never gone to go at least once, but long lines, getting your press registration is a pain in the ass. It gets harder and harder every year. Um, it's just it's usually jam packed in the convention hall. What's up, Quinn? Space. Oh, you got lucky, dude. If you found that at Walmart, because I think it was like they packed that thing like one per case, so it became this a top scalper find. So even if Walmart happened to get them in stock, the scalpers would clean them out in seconds. So if you got lucky and found one at Walmart, that was definitely good luck. Yeah, I have all the original Decepticons from like the first season of the Transformers cartoon. That's what I kind of go by. So I have all the Seekers, I have Megatron, I have Soundwave, I have all the cassette tapes, and then like I said, I went and got that third party reflector because I just didn't think Takara was ever going to do a reflector. So I'm pretty good on the Decepticons, but definitely the Autobots still have a ways to go. And I really wish they wouldn't do like the later Autobots like Rodimus Prime and Ultra Magnus and those guys until they did all the original ones first. Yeah, they're all the restaurants around the convention center at San Diego are usually super expensive. That's amazing if you found three Cosmos. It's amazing you found three, period, but that they were on clearance. That's even more amazing. All right, this light bulb's really starting to annoy me and it's getting kind of late. So I think we're going to wrap it up tonight. But as always, guys, I appreciate everyone who's dropped in tonight. As always, stay safe out there. And until next time, I will have a news video up tomorrow, so look for that. But have a great weekend. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. And for those of you who are going to see Ant-Man this weekend, let's hope that it's good. I'll be sure to share my thoughts after I see it on Saturday night. So, talk to you guys later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.